Big news! The new Sprint LTE Plus network is faster than Verizon and AT&T based on analysis of a recent study by Nielsen. And to celebrate, we're inviting you to join Sprint for the biggest offer in U.S. wireless history. Switch to Sprint and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. Yep, you heard that right. No gimmicks, no tricks. You have Verizon's 6 gigs for $60, $30 with Sprint. And if you have 15 gigs for $100 from AT&T, $50 with Sprint. Even if you have T-Mobile's 10 gigs for $80, we'll give it to you for $40. And we won't force you to watch video in low def. Oh, and one more thing. We'll even pay your switching fees up to $650 per line so you can switch to the Sprint LTE Plus network today. Visit a Sprint store or sprint.com/save 50%.
Offer coverage not available everywhere for discounted phones. Excludes taxes, surcharges, roaming, and premium content. Subject to new line $36 activation fee. Credit valid port-in. Plans may not be exact match. See website for eligible plans. Offer ends 1/7/16. Savings through 1/8/18. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Contract valid via reward card requires online registration.
Blog Talk Radio.
Evening Express, weekdays 5 to 7 Eastern.
Let me tell you about what happened today. And the big issue was the tit for tat, going back and forth between Juan Martinez and Jodi Arias. It's been a theme through the cross-examination, and it kept going today.
You were very offended by that, right?
Yeah, offended would be accurate.
Right. And you were so offended that you still decided to go on vacation with him, though, right?
That wasn't why.
Well, no, you were very offended. You just told us that, right?
I didn't say very, but yes.
Okay, you were offended, right?
I was hurt.
Ma'am, didn't you just say you were offended?
Offended would be accurate.
And didn't you just say it was a good word, right?
Yeah, there's many descriptors to use.
But you just said just now it was a good word, right?
Yes, I think.
You think? It means you don't remember what you just said?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You just said offended was a good word, and when I used it, then you took issue with it. Is it a good word, or is it not a good word?
It depends on how you used it.
Well, I'm saying you're the one that I asked you the question, that you were offended, and you said offended is a good word, right? That's what you said, right?
I think so, yes.
So, well, you think so means you don't know, right?
I don't know.
Well, this just happened. How is it that you are not remembering what you're saying?
Because you're making my brain scramble.
I'm, again, making your brain scramble. So, in this particular case, the problem is not you. It's the questions being posed by the prosecutor, right?
No, not
yes
the questions.
Or no? Yes or no?
I was saying no when you interrupted me.
So, in this case, you're looking to point the finger at somebody else again, right?
No, it's my fault.
Well, you're saying it's the prosecutor that's asking you the questions, and that's creating a problem for you, right?
That's not what I said.
Well, you said it's the way you're posing the questions. You just said that, right?
I don't know.
You don't know what you just said, ma'am? Didn't it just happen?
Yes.
So how is it that if it just happened, you can't even remember what you just said?
I think I'm more focused on your posture and your tone and your anger, so it's hard to process the question.
So the answer is, it's, again, the prosecutor's fault because you perceive him to be angry, right?
It's not your fault.
Well, is somebody asking you whose fault it is?
You did.
Well, you seem to be pointing it at the prosecutor, right? So you believe the reason that you can't be effective on the witness stand is because somebody is asking you questions in a way you don't like.
I think that was a compound question.
Ma'am, isn't it true that you are having problems up on the witness stand, according to you, because of the way the prosecutor is asking the questions, right?
Yes.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to King Jordan Radio for Thursday night, December 17th, 2015. Now, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are having an exclusive. He was the defense attorney in what many consider to be the one of the most watched trials in American history. Tonight on the show, we will talk about his new book, Trapped with Miss Arias, Volume 1. We'll talk about the trial itself. We'll take your questions at 347-857-2950. If with great pleasure that I bring in the former defense attorney, the lead defense attorney for Jodi Arias. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, making his debut to the show, Mr. Kirk Nurmi. Good evening, Kirk, and welcome to King Jordan Radio. How are you?
Thank you, Jordan. How are you doing this evening?
Everything's good. Everything's good. Now, let's get right into it. The new book is called Trapped with Miss Arias. What prompted you to write this book?
Well, obviously, this case in general was about 5.5 years of my life. Something that a lot of people probably don't realize because they saw it happening, beginning in January of 2013. But the story really began in 2009 when I was assigned the case while I was working at the public defender's office. And so I started writing, kind of processing through kind of what I'd been through in this kind of intense legal experience, both legal and personal experience, I guess. And then it just I decided it was something that I wanted to share, that I wanted to get my story out to the world because I think there was a lot of misconceptions about who I was and that sort of thing, and kind of what people saw on TV and the differences, and kind of give people an insight into really what goes into a capital case and what's involved. And so that's why I decided to ultimately publish the book.
Now, let's get this out of the way. The best way my audience can obtain your new book, Trapped with Miss Arias, Volume 1, which is one of 3, which is the best way they can obtain it?
Sure, you can go to Amazon.com and search out under Kirk Nurmi. It should pop up right there. I've got that book, and I've got my weight loss book that I've published, but the Trapped with Miss Arias is obviously my latest, and you'll see the dark black cover and the gold handcuffs, and it's available both in paperback and in Kindle edition. So people have their choice of how they want to consume the book or send it off as a little Christmas gift.
Absolutely. Christmas is around the corner, and then I guess if you order it from Amazon within the next couple of days, you could have it in by the Christmas holiday. So all the trial watchers, I haven't read it yet, but I read excerpts. Everybody says it's an awesome book. So I will be the judge of that. I will have it soon. So, but in any event, when you met, thank you. When you first met Miss Arias, what was that encounter like? Take us back to that day.
Well, I kind of really describe it at length in the book, and you probably wouldn't want my long-winded answer. But the short answer kind of was that, back then I was a capital attorney at the public defender's office, is kind of what I already referred to, right? And you get this case, and it's a file with a name, basically. It's being transferred from another indigent defense group, and you don't really know very much. The client is Jodi Arias, and I had some ideas that at that time the coverage involved her being on CBS 48 hours. And so there was this, documentary where she was interviewed, and some of Mr. Alexander's friends were interviewed, and family were interviewed, things of that nature. So, in many ways, apart from that CBS special, this was just another case, an ordinary, file, and it was just going down to meet another client. And at that time, it wasn't that big a deal. Although certainly, Miss Arias was unique amongst capital defendants, not having a prior criminal history, things of that nature. So, but by and large, although she was a unique case, it was not. She was not the infamous Miss Arias that she is today.
Right.
Back then, right? Because back in 2009, really nobody knew who she was.
They were actually more paying attention to top mom, Casey Anthony, at that time.
Yes, indeed, right? And those comparisons got drawn later, but back at that point in time, it was just another case and just another trip to the women's jail out here in Maricopa County.
Right. So you didn't think much of it at that time.
No, like I say, it wasn't what it became.
Did you ever think, now look, you have a girl, she's being accused of something heinous. She is pretty, at the time of her MySpace pictures at least, some would say, some do say, it looks like it has the potential to be another Casey Anthony, except in the fact of it's not a whodunit. You never thought to yourself this might be a media frenzy?
Well, back then, no. As time went on, obviously, I knew the media was gonna cover it. At a certain point in time, maybe 2010, maybe late 2009, HLN network had applied to wanting to show it and live stream it and all that stuff, and so I got a sense of it. But back then, no, because there's so many cases. I mean, obviously. Maybe that some people view her as attractive would be something that would catch their eye, but the case went to trial for various reasons that I detail in my book. Nearly, 4.5 years or so after the killing. So to me, it's still amazing, I guess, that the interest became so great.
Yes, and there were a lot of pro-Jodi Arias clubs via Facebook, via Twitter, and there were those that will even say that Travis Alexander played with the emotions of a young lady, but, I heard that, but she had no right to kill him, but on the other flip of the coin is that he, for lack of a better term, to just get right into it, he should have stayed away from having sex with her. Maybe that would have at least stopped what could have been. Your thoughts?
Well, I detail, I have a chapter in the book that I talk about, after I talk about how I got the file and the process of me being assigned to the case, I detail a whole chapter and say, what if I never got the file? Meaning, what if this killing never took place? What if, kind of a wishful thinking thought of, what if Mr. Alexander had listened to his friends to, get away from her? What if steps were taken in Miss Arias' life and her mental health, when her mental health problems started showing up? Wouldn't it be the ultimate greatest thing of all of this if none of this ever happened and Travis Alexander was still alive and Jodi Arias was off living her life? Wouldn't that have been the best of all outcomes?
Yes, there was a lot of 20/20 hindsight. She could always think of what ifs, but unfortunately that didn't come to pass. Well, I want to ask you some of the evidence that Jodi alleged. Now, she alleged that he was looking at a picture of a young boy. Was there any evidence to back this allegation up?
Well, let me tell you, some of that will be things that I discuss in my other book, and then other aspects of that are going to be confidential attorney-client privilege. So I have to kind of defer either to the next book and or the realities of attorney-client privilege and the evidence that we reviewed. So I was very careful in the book to only reveal those things I felt like I had the ability to reveal, and I have to stick by that in all my subsequent interviews about the book.
Absolutely. Now, there were reports that some of the witnesses were getting severe death threats, and one witness had to go to the hospital. Is that true? And were you one of the people that were also getting the alleged death threats?
Well, I